Please rise for a pledge of allegiance. Paul Farnan will lead us in a pledge of allegiance tonight.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, Paul. I knew you'd roll the punches. Once a week. Okay, welcome to the April 22nd normal meeting of the Village of Ballston Board of Trustees. And let us go to our minutes section. Can I get a motion that the minutes of April 3rd, 2024's budget workshop be approved? Trustee Fondenza, second by Trustee Raymond. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion that the minutes of the April 8th, 2024 meeting be approved? Trustee Fondenza. Trustee Price Bush. Discussion.
Yeah, I just want to make one comment. At the very end of the meeting, there's a statement in the minutes. Mayor Rossi addressed Trustee Baskin's endless questions about passports just because of who is involved. Trustee Baskin said he feels attacked. The whole context for that was the mayor's sister telling me to shut up at the end of the meeting, and so that's missing from the minutes, the context. So that's unfortunate that it's missing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'll vote opposed.
4-1. No presentations, public comment on agenda items only, 3 minutes per speaker. If you're on Zoom, this would be the time to raise your hand for that, but we'll go to anybody in the house first while you do so. Anybody in the house like to speak? Try the hand there. I can't. Thank you.
Liz Cormos, 89 Hyde. Since I believe you'll be passing the final budget tonight, I've had some more comments about the budget. Basically, what a difference a year makes. A year ago, the mayor was railing to keep the increases in taxes at 2.2% below the cap of 3.7%. This year, a non-election year, the mayor wants to increase taxes 5.6% to the cap, raising approximately $100,000 in taxes. In addition, water will be rising 8%, with over 40% of that increase going to non-water expenses. The fact is that the village subsidizes general expenses with out-of-village water profits instead of moving that money into reserves for the $30 million or so of infrastructure projects we need. Water revenue should be used for water-related expenses, mirroring the allocation for fire services. The 8% water rise and rate will impact our low-income seniors the most. The proposed rates continue the practice of undercharging the largest users of our water. The triple rate kept for the out-of-village residents will make those rates uncompetitive with those of Heritage Springs, almost guaranteeing that we will not be chosen to sell water to those 500 residents. The amount for celebrations is over budgeted, with over $30,000 for the mayor's hand-picked ad hoc task force. The budget has the village shouldering 100% of the cost, despite significant past and anticipated contributions for these one-time events. The task force should join the village's other volunteer groups and become a village committee. Repairs to our infrastructure are our #1 priority. Debt service from potential loans in fiscal 25, like the water towers, DPW equipment, and potentially for DPW and court buildings are omitted. We did include finally some debt service for the police building. A responsible budget would estimate these expected debt service payments The fund balance should not serve as a resource when expenses can be estimated. This budget inflates some numbers and omits some numbers. For example, the fire department, the equipment line is intentionally inflated by over $27,000, which masks an intended surplus for future purchases. The budget should accurately reflect anticipated expenditures, with any surplus appropriately allocated to a reserve fund rather than being integrated into expense lines. Likewise, the budget should include the full Woods Hollow revenue of $435 and the planned payment to Lumac, the logging company that shows the mayor's plan to overpay Lumac for doing no more than marking trees. Our planning and zoning chairs convened meetings only 7 times in the past year.
And your time is up.
And, okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anybody else? I have no hands up, and so seeing nothing, we are out of public comment. Can I get a motion? Well, first off, I should always ask, going to consent agenda items, are there any of the, this time, 5 consent agenda items to be removed and discussed separately? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda? Trustee Price Bush, trustee Fandesa, discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion approving the retention of fiscal advisors and marketing incorporated for the purpose of assisting with debt offerings and advice and authorizing the mayor to execute the attached agreement after final review by the village attorney? Trustee Fandesa. Trustee Price Bush, discussion.
Can you please explain this a little bit? So when we got this agenda, is the first time we've heard that this is happening and the first time we saw the contract. So can you just please explain for us and the audience what this is for and what the total price will be? Because there's a number of
Well, we can't tell you that. We can, if we go to $1 million bond, it'll be 2,000 and change. If we go above it, it'll be actually in the 20,000 range because we have to get an S&P rating to go above $1 million. So we're trying to consider possible ways to stay at $1 million on a single issuance and then possibly a second issuance in that type of situation. There's no way to tell exactly how much we're going to spend.
So I thought we were getting more than $1 million. You're saying we're going to get less and then get another one?
It's possible, yes. There are different strategies to be used here. And so we're getting educated as to what we're going to be required to do to get the best possible rates on the market right now. Go ahead, Carla.
When you do bonding, municipal bonding and municipal finance, you need to have a fiscal advisor work with you. And fiscal advisors are who our firm have worked with them. There's another couple firms that we've worked with in the past for all of our municipalities. This is all they do, municipal bonding. So in order for you to actually get the bond, you have to have a fiscal advisor. And this is the fiscal advisors that the village is choosing. I know that Larry, the bond counsel from my office, has spoken with the mayor with respect to the purposes, what you need to do with respect to fiscal advisors and any other fiscal advising company. The way that their fees work is the same exact way that our fees work, which is set by the Red Book, and the bond counsel, which is a whole separate bar, it's a percentage per thousand of the amount of the bond. So when the mayor says you can't actually identify what the cost is, it's a formula per bond, and that is something universal amongst all of the fiscal advisors and the bond counsel.
Right. It looked like it was a set fee for anything over $1 million. In which case all those numbers add up to about 24,000 or so. And then it was much less for
No, that's it for $1 million bond. It's $2,600 of issuance, I think, plus the hourlies that get you there by the fiscal advisor.
there were other numbers for other services. Are they not? They were included in the appendix. Are they not being applied to us? We don't need those services.
We don't need an S&P rating if we are at $1 million or less at this point in time. There may be another issuance at a later date for DPW building or something like that at a certain time that would require us to go over $1 million, and we can cross that bridge when we get to it. But for now, for the water towers, it's possible that we could do $1 million and then let's say $250,000 or $300,000 approach for a second offering later. there may be, in this case, we may go bond anticipation note in hopes of lower interest rates in the next 1 to 2 years. This is what they do for us in terms of helping us determine the best course of action to get the best possible interest rates overall.
So, I'm sorry, did you say the cost of this is gonna be around 2,000 or around 20,000?
The cost of an issuance is $2,600 thereabouts.
So, I thought a few minutes ago you said that like the total cost would be like
It would
20.
be if we were over $1 million,
Right,
because
right.
we would need to spend $15,000 on an S&P rating. So,
And so that's undetermined at the moment.
well, I think there's a good, easy way when you have one tower at $1,012,000 and the other tower is probably combining 300,000 to create 2 separate ones to avoid
Mhm.
the heavy lift. But it may be in the meantime, we determine, hey, let's go for the S&P rating. Let's get a higher one or along those lines, then we might approach it differently. So this is a type of group we're going to use frequently, most likely because of all the debt issuances we'll probably need over the next 5 years. So it's good to get a relationship started now. That's why I reached out to Carla and to Larry to say, hey, first time doing this on a municipal basis, what should we do? And they've been guiding us on this, so I appreciate that help.
Okay. Thanks for the explanation.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Taking a motion approving the proposal from Labella Associates DPC related to the installation of a generator for Village of Ballston Spa water wells 4A and 4B for $7,000 and authorizing the mayor to execute the attached agreement. Trustee Fandesa,
Second.
trustee Raymond, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. As explained here, we'll start with the main motion and then we'll move to any amendments. Can I get a motion to adopt the attached proposed final budget as the final budget of the Village of Ballston Spa for fiscal year 2024, 2025, and to permit the mayor to make changes to grammar, wording, and replacement of wording proposed to adopt it upon adoption? Trustee
I
Fandesa?
have a point of order. I'm just wondering if the motions below this one, D and E, need to be, or D and F. need
I'll
to be
second the
passed.
motion. Okay, so now we're in a motion. Okay, now,
Well, I'm just wondering if motions D and E, which impact the budget, also the 8% increase, water rates, sewer rates, should those be?
last year we did this in the same order we're doing it right now. So if you have an issue with the 8%, then this is probably the place to talk about it. If you don't,
I'm just saying. Before approving the budget, we want to approve those things, I would think.
well, either way, all it's going to affect is whether or not we have X dollars going to reserve account or not in that situation.
Well, right, it impacts the budget, so.
They're,
Anyway.
they're interlinked, but that's why they're
Yeah.
basically in this order here. We're going to do it. So anyway, we have a motion on the floor for the actual main approval. There are 3 possible or potential amendment motions there. If anybody wants to make them, this would be the time to do so, or otherwise we'll go to vote on the motion itself.
All right, I'll make the motions. We're not putting the ones that Bernadette had because you've already included them in the budget.
Correct. By straw poll, as I stated, there was consensus on the changes that got made. Obviously made some grammatical changes and fixed a couple clerical errors that were in there. But otherwise, these were basically the only things left. I will state that the $1,000 to purchase historic district signs was actually put into publicity CE, but I still put the motion here since you requested the motion and it didn't quite get handled the way you had intended. So I still put it here, but the money is in there currently in publicity CE.
Right, I appreciate it, and I appreciate your effort to ensure we do have a conversation about these things, so.
Okay, but let's not drag our feet. If you got a motion to make the motion at this point.
All right, I guess we'll start with the historian CE line. Motion made by.
Just say I'd like to make the motion.
I'll make the
too.
motion, increase the CE line in the 24-25 proposed budget by 1,000 to purchase 5 historic district signs, be offset by an increase in the real property tax interest and penalty line by the same amount.
You mean the historian CE line because you left that word out, so I just want to make sure. You stated the
Sure.
CE line. I just want to make sure you meant the historian CE
Oh, yeah,
line.
yeah, it says historic CE. Yes.
Okay, he's made the motion. Anybody second?
Second.
Trustee Raymond seconds. Okay, discussion.
So, thank you for putting the 1,000 into the budget. I wasn't clear on why it wouldn't just go here, and I guess my concern is that it will potentially, it's the first step in using it for something else, rather than what it's intended for. So just wondering why we're not just putting it in the historian CE line.
Well, as we discussed by email, the idea was A, to compromise here to make sure the money is available, and B, we had some issues this current budget year with respect to HDC attempting to use funds for any purpose they had deemed instead of what we had anticipated in that situation. But also signs have generally gone into the publicity CE line, which is what Jen Moskowitz, as village administrator, generally spends from for the welcome signs, et cetera. And this is akin to a welcome sign specifically. Also, as we looked at the signs, we weren't sure the ones that were being talked about by Gary, why they would necessarily need replacements. So gives us the ability to go assess the signage, and then if it needs to be replaced, replace it. If not, Jen actually had more money she asked for the welcome signs. So if we don't spend it for that at that point, she has more money for welcome signs at that point.
All right.
Okay, so assuming that's the end of discussion for that amendment, let's go to a roll call. That's good.
Trustee Baskin?
How about yes?
Trustee Van Denza?
No.
Mayor Rossi?
I'll
Oh,
pass now.
I'm out of order. Trustee Price Bush? Yes. And Trustee Raymond?
Yes. I don't have a mic. So. I wasn't yelling.
Nobody.
Mayor Rossi?
No, so the money will be moved to the historian line. Was that your anticipated vote, or did you intend to? Oh, no, it's already in publicity. Are you looking to change your vote then?
Yes.
So let the clerk know what your vote is then.
No.
Okay, so just to recap, Baskin and Raymond were yes. Vandenza, Price Bush, and Rossi were no. So 2-3, the amendment fails. Okay. So it's just to be accurate on that. I apologize.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to reduce both zoning and planning PS lines respectively in the proposed 24-25 budget from 19.7% increase to a 2.5% increase in fiscal year 24-25, resulting in net reduction of $22,622 to be offset by an equal reduction in the real property tax interest and penalty line.
He's made that motion. Any second?
Second.
I feel like I'm coaching around here. So,
John, why did you put the mic near you while
It doesn't work.
it doesn't even work?
So,
Yeah, just weird on.
I think everybody can hear me. Yeah.
Okay, they hear you on the TV.
There's also a barrier.
well, discussion on B.
Okay, so just to put this in perspective,
I would recommend you maybe put your microphone closer to you just so that you're heard too, but not sure how good that's going to be over there.
oh really? Can people hear
Not really.
No.
Just a good one. Just a good one. Project.
me? You guys shouldn't need a microphone to hear me. This is for the remote people. All right, I guess I'll talk a little more loudly. So, they currently receive $1,677, I believe, annually. They met last year 7 times. In Milton, Ballston, Scotia, the compensation where they're much busier is from $1,200 to $1,500. I know in Ballston, the chair gets $100 a meeting and doesn't get paid if they don't meet. And so they'd be paid basically double what larger, busier towns are being paid. And I just don't see the rationale for this.
Yeah, I've stated this before, I think just for consistency's sake, since all non-union employees were getting 2.5% increase, it's, the village staff, I think it should just be across the board, just for fairness. I know there was the intent that there might be additional work for the zoning and planning board, but based on conversations that we had with the consultant for our zoning advisory committee, it appeared that he didn't have any plans to pursue that additional work because typically it's unnecessary. So I don't see it as being a need, and I don't think they'll have that additional work that was perceived. So
They are having trouble hearing you, so you should grab the microphone when possible.
Okay.
I just let you know.
Right.
Having said that,
I was trying
I know, I get it. Having heard that, remind me if I'm wrong here, but you were at the meeting that night, and they were talking about the planning and zoning boards taking part in tabletop exercises with respect to proposed code to make sure that it works essentially.
Right, so.
Can't hear me now.
What?
Yes. Oh, here's the battery.
Battery, that's fine.
Battery.
It might be this.
Let's reassemble the microphone while I also state that the other part of it is they're gonna have to go to training more so than normal and internally train on the new code to be able to execute the code and implement it. And so there's plenty of that, what they're gonna be doing over the next year. See if that goes on for you.
Well,
That's on there.
in that meeting with the consultant, when you suggested tabletop exercises, he said he had no plans to do that, and he has not done that in the past. He had no intent to do that.
You didn't go to the nighttime meeting then that night because that was actually the whole discussion about when and how they were gonna do it.
Right.
Mary was there.
Earlier that day, he had no clue that that was going to be part of the process. So it's really, I think, your idea that you're putting on there, and that's fine. It's not like a bad idea, but it's not something the consultant felt was needed. But secondly, no committee person is getting paid for their efforts. Many people on the committee are spending a lot of hours doing this, and I don't see a need for them to, as Anna Stango said, she didn't ask for this. And it's just not necessary. And it feels like favoritism to increase it this much.
Roll call.
Trustee
Be
Baskin,
very careful.
trustee Baskin,
Yes.
trustee Van Denza,
No.
trustee Price Bush, trustee Raymond,
Yes.
Mayor Rossi?
No, it's 2-3, motion does not carry. Potential amendment 3 if you'd like, or up to you.
All right, make a motion to increase Board of Trustees and Mayor PS lines by 2.5% in fiscal year 2024 to 2025 proposed budget for a total cost of $642 to be offset by the addition of same amount to the real property tax, interest, and penalty line.
He's made a motion. Sean, would you like to second it? Okay, I'm shocked. No. Okay, well, again, the intent here is to have these heard and finally voted on once and for all here as we get to the final approval for the budget. Remember, the motion for that is still pending behind, but we allow these to supersede for now. Discussion on C.
Yeah, so this combined with the huge increase to the planning and zoning, in my mind, has the effect of politicizing this budget and turning it into something of a patronage system. You know, I feel like that these trustees are being penalized, that it's vindictive. At the same time, you're being overly generous to people you do like. We all work very hard on this, and the normal thing to do in a normal budget process in a normal village with a normal government is to just have, if you're raising planning and zoning and other staff by 2.5%, to just routinely raise the trustees. By not doing that, you're creating a political situation that unfortunately plagues this village that is unnecessary and unfortunate and shades the budget process itself. There's no reason not to give cost of living. What you're doing is you're penalizing not just us, and of course, none of us, we've all said it's not the money because it's a very small amount and we've all put in huge amount of time for very little money, and we never ran for office to make money. But it is about how to treat this budget, how to treat this board. I feel like the board or this institution, this democratic institution, is being disrespected and devalued. This not only penalizes the people who happen to be here now, but for all future boards will be penalized similarly by this lack of a cost of living increase, which doesn't even equal inflation, but it's the same as everybody else is what's being requested. Unless the intent, of course, is to wait until you have a board that you like more, and then you increase by 5, 10, 15, 20, or maybe even 20% as you did with the planning and zoning boards. So if that's the intent, people should all remember how this works and what's happening today. So I think this shouldn't even be a topic of conversation. This should just be a routine thing that is part of the budget.
Bernadette, I think would like to go next.
Generally speaking, I think I like everybody on the board.
We
No
like you
hard
too.
feelings. No hard feelings, but I generally don't think we deserve the increase, whether you think of it as a COLA or not. We are here to serve the public. And while you think it might be a small amount, it is something that just on principle, I don't think we need to be asking. Every year, there's a lot of crying about how, certain trustees think that they should be paid more. And I just think it's silly. I will continue to vote against increases, even if I have the fortunate ability to serve beyond the term that I have.
I will remember that.
Sure, please do. And I hope that the public will also remember your protestations every time about increases, why you should deserve one. And they've been honestly very comical. So I hope the public remembers that. And while you may disagree, I think that it's the right thing to just say, we're here to serve. We're not here to get, you can call it a little bit, but for some people, that's a lot of money. And they are paying taxes too in this community. And honestly, I think Mary said she didn't know how much she was going to get even serving on here. So I hope we can move forward beyond this and continue to serve the public without hurt feelings about this. So,
Well, I have to say, I don't appreciate insult. I don't feel like my arguments are comical.
They are
I
when
mean,
you've just basically said that
serious.
we're going to give ourselves a 20% raise as soon as you guys are off the board. It's a little insulting. You're putting a lot of intention that's not even there. So don't pretend here that you're not being political in this discussion.
Oh, you've created a political discussion by doing this in the budget. This could have been a routine matter, and you have intentionally politicized this budget. So that's what's happening here. Of course, I don't and expect you to raise by 20%. Although you did, I didn't expect you to raise the planning and zoning board by 20%. And look where we have here.
Okay, Sean would like to say something. I just checked in with him, and he has the microphone. He's slowly shifting it over, and here he goes.
Play by play.
He shoots, he scores.
So again, this just goes to me with fairness and consistency. All non-union employees, with the exception of planning and zoning, are going to get 2.5%. That was just across the board. I would say I find it interesting that we're going to give planning and zoning 4 times basically what's being asked for by the village board, and they meet less and they have far less to consider than the village board does. So I don't really understand the logic and reason behind that. I just don't see any. So leaves me to conclude the only reason this is being done is strictly for, partisan pandering. And I'm a little disappointed because it happens too much on this board. It's why I decided I didn't want to be part of any political party, because it's just a disservice to the public. We should be able to be fair and even-handed here. We shouldn't pick winners and losers per se, or favor one and not the other. I mean, I've said multiple times, this raise doesn't matter to me. It maybe would pay for another 1 or 2 hours of my time. But, and I don't care really. It's just a matter of principle mostly, that if you're gonna do something, you should do it consistently and fairly.
I'll buy you a beer with money I'm not getting though. One thing if I can hear, just as a point of clarification, Sean, there are other categories that are receiving raises that are not consistent with the 2.5% or whatever it is. Library clerks are receiving a different increase. Lifeguards, our building department clerk, because it was requested and it was clear that she's being undervalued at the wage she was at. And so it's a kind of re-gauge on that one that we needed to do. So the other two that I just pointed out are more or less because crossing guards also probably were off 2.5%. And higher than that because their wages were getting caught up with the minimum wage effect underneath them, or it was actually going to nip them. So just to be clear that is not a consistent 2.5% across the board. We do not have a COLA here. Ben, I appreciate you want to speak.
All right, I'll wait for
You
you.
just got to calm down a little bit.
Go ahead,
Let's
I'll wait
finish
for
it.
you.
I am done, but I just hate when you keep doing
I'm
the
sorry.
before we even stop.
All right, I apologize. I just want to point out from your mayor's summary and the tentative budget, a sentence from you, which was, quote, most salaries and wages for village staff members, except those for trustees and mayor, reflect increases by at least 2%. So there is, even according to your words, a pattern that we are an exception to. And so that just is. And in terms of, I'm sorry, Bernadette, that you don't feel you've done a good job to earn another COLA.
Again, you're putting words in people's
No,
mouths that
let
do
them-
You
not
said-
exist.
You,
Let
s-
him-
you
let him
said,
finish.
I
you
think
just
I have a
said,
right to speak to that.
you just
You
said you
can.
didn't do a good job.
Just let him.
And but there's no objective, there is no objective criteria. There's no objective criteria for our performance. All right. And you've never pointed to any, we've never had any. There isn't. So you're just saying that, and it'd be interesting to hear what your criteria is, because I know that we're all doing the best we can with very conflicting agendas, and that's the nature of politics. So that's where we are.
Then you regularly put words in people's mouth that were never said. When have I ever said that overall I've not done a good job? I didn't just say that.
So
And you
who's-
need to be careful about how you say things and when you put words in people's mouth that do not exist. Because there are laws against that. And so please stop that.
So you're saying we're not doing a good job? Is that we're all not
We've
doing the
been
exact
fighting a
same?
lot of the meetings. And so, yeah, I think in that regard, I don't think that that's been done well. So I ask you to please stop doing that in the future. I think you've done that to a lot of people. So please stop. That's case in point why I don't think any of us deserve a raise, honestly.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mary would like to address this. I think she deserves that ability after sitting back and listening to this.
No, I believe the board received a raise last year. And I know a lot of people, myself included, have gone many, many years without a cost of living increase. I didn't take this job to sustain my livelihood. I have a full-time job. I did this because I think our community, I keep saying we need to do this for our community. We need to be thinking about them and how many of them, Bernadette brought it up, people aren't getting raises. I think we should be grateful what we have. I think that the zoning and planning boards are both doing a lot more than we realize they're doing. They're meeting, they're emailing, calling each other so they don't have to be meeting in person all the time. I think it's going to be a long time that they're going to be putting in extra time. And I think that they do deserve the increase that they're getting.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we've exhausted this discussion. Let's go to roll call vote.
Trustee Baskin,
Yes.
trustee Van Denza,
No.
trustee Price Bush,
No.
trustee Raymond,
Yes.
Mayor Rossi,
No, 2-3, that amendment fails. Discussion to the main motion at this point. Anything left to discuss regarding it?
Yeah, I have a statement I'd like to make.
I'm surprised.
All right. Some of my concerns with this budget. The mayor has significantly curtailed trustee involvement in the development and discussion of the budget, a departure from the practices of 3 previous administrations. Traditionally, trustees would engage with department heads in March to gain insight into departmental needs ahead of the tentative budget deadline. Regrettably, this collaborative process was omitted this year, or I should say some trustees were selectively included in meetings with departments while Sean and I were not. Such disparate treatment based on trustee identity is unacceptable. Additionally, the PDFs of the budget documents sent by the mayor were difficult to read in certain sections and not user-friendly working documents. I asked for a hard copy of the budget. I was refused. I asked for an Excel version. I was refused. The lack of collaboration marks the most uncooperative budget process in over a decade and is a concerning indicator of what a Rossi-led majority on the board means for democratic participation and transparency. According to the mayor, the budget has $62,874 in excess spending, quote unquote, a deficit being addressed by drawing from the general fund balance, a practice that is not recommended nor sustainable for sound budget management. Furthermore, several anticipated expenses for this year have not been factored into the budget, including debt payment on the John Street Tower and work on Wiswell Park, among others. It is essential to include estimates for such expenses in the budget as it serves as a planning document. Since we plan to have these expenses, estimates should be used when exact amounts are not known. Anticipated expenses should not be excluded as if they don't exist. In addition, there is intentional inflation of expensive lines within the fire department budget, potentially obscuring any actual surplus, which should go into the reserve account. This, in effect, hides surplus money in the fire department budget. This is important because the mayor has indicated he might add a fire tax or the taxes villages already pay in the village. Knowing the true need for a tax and how much it should be, therefore becomes much more important for informed decision-making. Moreover, there's $75,000 from Woods Hollow sale also missing from the budget. Revenue should reflect the $435,000 in the contract, and expenses should include the $75,000 as well, though I think the village should seek to keep some portion of that amount to reflect the true value of the property. Additionally, provisions should be made in anticipation of receiving matching grants, especially the TAP CMAQ, which is about $100,000 a year. I also understand why we pay year after year for flags and banners, $2,000 every year for flags. It's a minor point, but where are all these flags? Lastly, the mayor's decision to politicize the budget by reducing in real dollars trustee salaries while dramatically increasing compensation for his preferred planning board and zoning board chairs is unacceptable. He wants to pay the PB and ZB chairs about twice what they get in Milton and Ballston while having half the work. The budget should not serve as a platform for partisan agendas. It is the people's money. The move towards a patronage system within the village government is objectionable and should be opposed by all. In summary, this budget appears to improperly roll over operating expenses, neglect some anticipated expenses while distorting others, relies on the general fund for balancing, and uses the budget as a partisan tool.
Thank you, Liz. Okay, discussion,
Okay.
further discussion? Yeah, take that.
I would just make one observation. I do think we should follow general standard accepted accounting practices. So any revenue we receive should be accounted for, and any expenditures that we incur should be documented. And I think that applies to the Woods Hollow contract. We should document if we're going to get 435,000, we should document that. If we're going to expend 75,000, we should document that. I also feel that since the final proposed budget basically had all the lines already preordained, that the motions we went through, obviously were perfunctory. Apparently, it was already planned how people were gonna vote anyways. And vote in lockstep. Again, I don't see that as being democratic. I think it's more partisan in nature. And again, I don't think this is the best way to serve the public at large.
Roll call.
Trustee Baskin,
No.
trustee Van Denza,
Yes.
trustee Price Bush,
Yes.
trustee Raymond,
Yes.
Mayor Rossi,
Yes, 4-1, the budget passes. We have a budget for 2025. Can I get a motion to adopt an 8% increase for all Village of Ballston Spa inside and outside users' water rates as based on the year one recommendations by the Revenue Advisory Committee? The revenue derived from the first 3.25% of the 8% increase would be budgeted as normal in the A fund, with the additional 4.75% of the increase to be utilized only for water tower debt service, water tower maintenance, and/or funding of the water tower reserve fund to be created by the board.
I make the motion.
I'll
Trustee
second.
Fandesa, trustee Baskin, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. At this point, it probably makes sense to do the resolution regarding the water tower reserve fund. Madam Attorney, what would you like us to do with respect to it?
No. The trustees all received a resolution establishing the capital reserve fund. As you know, there are specific kinds of reserve funds, a specific fund and a type fund. This is a specific fund because it is solely for, excuse me, the water towers. So in order to have money put in the specific reserve fund and thereby make sure that only the money that's in this fund is only used, make sure the money in this fund is only used for the water tower, you have to create the fund. The creation of this fund is subject to a permissive referendum, which means it does not go into effect until 30 days after today's date. If no petition is received by the public within 30 days, the fund automatically is established, and then you can fund it with however you want to fund it. But the monies that are put in there, when you expend them, they are not subject to permissive referendum. So this is very similar to what you did with the fire trucks, the fire equipment one. It's the same language, it's the same section of the general municipal law. So you have it in front of you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Let me read the resolution into the record, since, yeah, just because I don't think we technically had it attached. So we'll get this read out. I know.
It is
I
in
got
the attachments.
Is it in the attachments? So are you willing to dispense with the reading?
Yeah, I do have some questions. but-
Okay, so can I get a motion first to approve the resolution? Trustee Fandesa, trustee Raymond, discussion.
The one question I have,
One thing, $1 should be the equals for the time being in the blank that's there. So is that okay, Bernadette?
Yes.
And Sean? Thank you. That's an amendment to make sure it equals $1 just for the time being until we get water funds in
At a
there.
minimum.
Yeah, minimum.
That's why I
Yep,
put it in
yep. Okay. Matt?
why do we not want a reserve fund for all of water infrastructure, and why are we specifying just for the towers?
This was actually considered, and it would have had to be a type fund, not a specific fund. And in that situation, we would have been forced to go through a permissive referendum every time we needed to make a payment out of that fund. So basically 30 days would have to expire before we could actually make a payment out of it every time. So in the hopes and knowledge here of kind of reducing it's just the water towers, which we know is a known issue that we need to fund for the current issues and future maintenance situations. There was safety right now in doing this for now. It's not to say we won't do another water specific infrastructure reserve account at a later date. It's just specific would make more sense with respect to how payments would need to be generated out of this fund.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Another question, I thought when you create reserve funds, you have to say how they're going to be funded. Which we don't have in here, like, do we want to say through any bonds or loans or water fees?
you can, you don't have to for all of them. I mean, right now it specifically says purpose is to accumulate monies to finance the capital improvements and equipment. And the amount of money required to fund it at this point is a minimum of $1. We can add an extra whereas paragraph. Or resolve paragraph if you'd like to put it in there. It's not necessary. This is the same one that you did use for the fire truck and one that has been used in other municipalities, but that's it can be there, cannot be there. That's up to you.
Yeah, I asked because a while ago, I was looking up information about reserve funds and at the state, and they indicated that was part of a description of a reserve fund is a description of how it will be funded.
It depends on the type and which section under the general municipal law. There's like 17 different kinds of reserve funds and they all have different requirements. But again, we can put it in there. I don't care. If we want, we can add a resolve that it will be funded by.
I would prefer a flexibility scenario because then we're got a noose around our neck about certain things that could happen down the line. So I think this language serves what we needed to do, which is to hold money and have an outlet for it. Ultimately, if it's not referendum in 30 days or within 30 days.
It does identify also in there, Ben, with respect to the way the treasurer has to invest the money, isn't that the investment and anything they receive on the investment and the interest goes right back into the fund. So that is in there as well.
Okay, well, if you don't think it's needed, thanks for that explanation.
Of course.
All in favor? All right, we need a roll call on this one. I apologize.
Trustee Baskin,
Yes.
trustee Bondesa,
Yes.
trustee Price Bush, trustee Raymond,
Yes.
Mayor Rossi.
Yes, 5-0, it is adopted. Gotta get a motion to adopt an 8% increase for all Village of Ballston Spa inside and outside users sewer rates. The revenue derived from the first 5% of the 8% increase would be budgeted as normal in the G fund, with the additional 3% being utilized as contingency funding, which if unused would become part of the sewer fund's fund balance. Trustee Fandesa,
Second.
trustee Raymond, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Here's announcements. We do have hydrant flushing going on. I believe it started today for 2 weeks. So remember, if you have water pressure issues or discolorization of water temporarily, keep running water and make sure you don't see anybody trying to flush out your hydrants nearby. It's a temporary scenario. Try to get your water to run clean before you would do laundry at that point in time. Obviously, it could dirty up the laundry. Obviously, too, it can be undone the effect by putting in another load of laundry, but obviously you don't want that kind of scenario if you are looking to get your laundry done quickly. Other than that, we are also in discussions with USG on the proper approach for maintenance and for maintenance costs and the actual possible installment approach with respect to the water tower, getting more details on that. I was hoping to get a chart on Friday from him, but he's getting it approved to at least offer to us by COO in the near term. So we're just waiting on that. And he ultimately should be speaking to the board in a presentation soon. Also, Superintendent Duca had reached out to speak with us or speak to us with respect to the school board's budget that was approved, at least to be offered for their referendum coming up soon. He unfortunately has a conflict on that Monday at Town of Ballston, but he's going to work to see if maybe he can get around that conflict to present to us briefly about their budget coming up soon. I think that's all I have. Treasurer's report. Saratoga County sales tax distribution not received yet for the month, should be coming very soon though. We are going to be resuming working on the 2022 audit with Nate Panucci from Teal Becker. We're talking to him Thursday, and as soon as that one's done, we're going to be moving right into the 2023 audit, as he had asked us to hold off due to his schedule on his end after we had fixed the gas fee issue that we needed to encounter for the first time. With respect to AccuFund, when working and developing the budget with the department heads committees, we found some things that need to be reclassified to the correct account. Part of the reasoning is that AccuFund glitches, and the other part was due to staffing changes in our department. The change is mostly minor, have been rectified with journal entries, water and sewer. They're prepping meter cards, and we're getting ready to do it all over again, folks. Village residents should receive them by June 1st. And Rebecca, who is our deputy treasurer, deputy clerk, and Melissa, who is our treasurer, are working with Bob Kavanaugh to re-levy past due water and sewer accounts for those who receive the service and are inside water, our village water users. This year's deadline for any water sewer bills for inside users will be accepted by the village office until May 3rd. And then at that point, they'll be levied with penalties to the village tax bill. So this is your last chance realistically to pay your water bills if you live inside the village and you don't want to re-levy to your tax bill. Finally, the police station, 78 Thompson Street, station's coming along with modifications necessary to move in sometime in the very near future. Location's been connected to National Grid. Our first invoice is due soon. They have been connected to Slick for internet. So the first customer for Slick Fiber was our police station at 78 Thompson Street. Congratulations there. And Ring Squared is also going to be setting up their phone system soon as well. So moving along on those issues as well. Let's go to liaison reports. We'll start with Sean. He's got it ready. Grab it. There you go.
Okay, so items completed in the last couple of weeks by DPW, catch basin repair at South and Division Streets, manhole repair at Meadow Lane, stump removal around the library. They did a hydrant flow test with the help of LaBella Associates, our village engineers. Creekside Playground down at Kelly Park is open. And meter replacement at one location, repairs to pump 2 at Westwind Hills, and repairs to the backup generator at Westwind Hills. And on the to-do list for the next couple of weeks, more hydrant flushing. The police department's station, they're going to continue working on that. And spring season street sweeping, they've started and they're going to continue to do that for the next couple of weeks. And then some hot patch paving around catch basins and water areas where we had to dig up for water lines. Hopefully to start this week. EPA water data collection, that's being done, and they've got a few done. They have a couple thousand left to go. Brush pickup to start in 2 to 3 weeks. And start work back up on the pickleball courts in 1 to 2 weeks. And I also want to say that they have put up one of the "Your Speed Is" signs up on Hyde Boulevard. It's good to see. They may in the future want to put a speed limit regulatory sign there, because you really can't enforce it without a speed limit regulatory sign alongside the "Your Speed Is" sign. So that may be something to consider.
Yep. In fact, that's not the final resting spot for that sign, because that's where the stop signs will go anyway. Quick thought here. We will not vote on it tonight, but Subsurface Technologies has a proposal in to do 2 of our wells, water wells, in terms of clean out the aqua free approach that they have basically sole source on. I believe well 4A is going to be a $40,450 endeavor. I believe right after the end of this budget year and next budget year, it will be well 3B, while they're still mobilized, in the $35,000 range. So I'm making it for lost time here to get 2 of these done right now. So stay tuned for that approval coming up in 3 weeks at our next meeting. But we are going to be making moves there to finally get our wells cleaned out, freed up the way that they are supposed to from time to time. Mary, with respect to all the different things you're a liaison to.
I'll keep it short. The library is receiving a $40,000 grant from Assemblyperson Mary Beth Welch, and that big check is going to be presented May 6th, and a time has not been chosen yet, I don't believe, or a location. I haven't seen a location, but that will be updated and put on the website. And the Ballston area seniors are thinking of ways to fundraise. One of the ideas that they have is to have a flea market. So if you have any items you would like to donate that they can sell and put towards their their trips and everything that they are putting in themselves, that would be helpful. Oh, May 3rd,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, May 3rd, not May 6th. For the big check.
Thank you very much. You made me look twice. Yep, no, Friday, May 3rd, though, and you are right. We don't have the exact time and location yet for that, but thank you to Assemblywoman Walsh for her work on that, and thanks to the library board for their hard work to get that to become a reality for us. Let's go, Bernadette.
The Ballston Small Business and Professionals Association, May 3rd is First Friday. They will be having student art throughout the business community. So it's a lot of fun to go around. Some of the businesses will have different media, some paints and draw, but it's a way to bring people into the downtown and hopefully spending money and realizing that they can enjoy downtown. Locations will be posted on their social media shortly, I think in the near future. They'll be hosting a networking breakfast at Sterling Real Estate May 7th, 8 to 9:30. And this one I'm excited about. They have 20 farmers market vendors coming this year, which is awesome, and it's up and they're working tremendously hard. They are also still accepting vendors. So if you know folks that might be micro farmers, like very small, might be gardening out of their yard. I know somebody that did that before. Also, you know, they might be crafters or have bakers. There's a lot of ways for smaller business owners and smaller entrepreneurs in the agricultural arts, I want to call it, to get a start at the Ballston Small Business Association's farmers market. It's really one of my favorite things. And also their market on Thursday is moving a little later. Dana didn't give me the start time. It's a 4 to 7, which is nice. You know, for the folks that get home a little later from work. And then same thing, Saturdays, their usual hours. And then first movie in the park will be Belmont Weekend, I believe, right? And yeah, Secretary, thank you. I know Liz Biddle went through a lot of effort to figure out which movie to pick. And there'll be crafts and games beforehand. So they're trying to, with different events, not just a movie, but just bring people downtown, either the visitors or people that are in the area and are a little overwhelmed by everything that's happening in downtown Saratoga. Come to Ballston Spa and spend your money and support our small businesses. So that's that from them. I know Ben will have more, but I just wanted to commend the Arts Committee for their efforts. They've been working very hard on poetry throughout the month. It's April's Poetry Month. They had a open mic night. Was the last? Oh my gosh, it was Thursday. It was wonderful. It was really wonderful. A lot of people came out to listen to folks share their own art, their own written work, or share a favorite poem. And I just want to commend them for all their efforts and encourage those who can go to the next event, which is April 27th. I don't think any of us can go because it's the Union Firehouse dinner. But there's a professional reading of poetry at Brookside Museum, and you can sign up for that at the Brookside Museum's website. But Arts Committee should be commended very much for their efforts. I don't think anyone's here from there. I saw both Liz's there, and it was really nice. And Frank read a poem, I wrote a poem. It was fun. So congratulations to them.
Can I go back on one thing you talked about? Because I really want to underscore this. You said that the farmer's market has 20 vendors. Is that accurate?
Yeah, they're working awesome, really hard.
After everything they've gone through over the last 3 to 4 years, for them to rebuild up to 20 vendors, and I know it's been a lot of hard work, Liz Biddle. I just want to commend you and the BSBPA, everybody that's worked. So congratulations to them. I think that deserves the hard work on that. Ben, go ahead.
All right, well, I'll just echo what Bernadette said about what an excellent job the Committee on the Arts is doing with Poetry Month. It's been really well received. And there are a number of businesses that have buckets of poetry and little scrolls, and they've been going like hotcakes. And so a lot of poetry is being spread throughout this village, which is a nice thing. And yeah, people are really appreciating this. So, and it got a good write-up in the newspaper as well. So again, one of the last events of the month is a poetry reading at Brookside, 427 at 7 p.m. this Saturday. And I believe you may need to go to the website to just reserve a seat. They have limited seating, but and then for the Park and Tree Board, their big event coming up is they are going to be doing a tree planting. They may have 2 trees to plant in Kelly Park on this Saturday, again at 10 a.m. in honor of Arbor Day, and everyone's welcome. Not only is it fun to plant the tree and learn how to do it correctly, we're going to have an expert there from Cornell Cooperative Extension, Chris, who's also on the Park and Tree Board, but he'll talk about in general how to take care of trees and things to think about when you're choosing a tree and planting a tree. So it should be educational as well. The other thing I just want to mention, it sort of goes over into the Wiswell Park survey item later down, is just in case you're wondering where the diagrams and pictures are from last meeting that Studio A presented. There's going to be a survey that the Park and Tree Board is creating, and they've sent it to the board so board members can get back to them with their feedback, hopefully maybe by Friday, and hopefully maybe by next Monday we can actually get a survey out to everybody to get public feedback on the park's proposed park plan, what you like or what you want improved or changed, as really the final step in finalizing this plan. So,
And we might as well hit it while we're here.
Yeah, go ahead.
To be, as you said, working on the survey. In the meantime, we just ordered a double-sided poster stand, 2 feet by 3 feet for plans like these, and we'll have the full-size plan. We'll have a QR code to get to the survey. We'll be putting out in Wiswell Park for people to look at. So we're just trying to get our shipping date officially from the company we purchased it from today, and hope to have that up and running very soon as well. So it's all going to come together right around the same time, it looks like, with the survey and getting it out there for people to get their comments onto the survey. So as you said, trustees, feel free to give the comments back to Caitlin Parwana and the Park and Tree Board for finalization of that survey, and appreciate their hard work on that as well. Any last thoughts on Wiswell Park survey?
no, that's all. Just
Okay.
People should look for it.
So knock that off of whole business. We'll go back
Yeah,
to
that's
rules of
fine.
procedure. I think it's yours, so keep going.
Okay, and I hate to be so contentious, but there's some things that have been happening that I just feel I need to comment on. So I have a little statement. I'm concerned about recent actions taken by Mayor Rossi aimed at stifling dissenting voices within the village board. On 3 separate occasions in the past few months, Mayor Rossi has prematurely moved to either table or cease discussion, despite clear indications from fellow trustees that there were further points to be addressed regarding the motions under consideration. This was done through a majority vote with his followers on the board, directly contravening our established rules of procedure, in my opinion, effectively silencing the voices of elected trustees and eliminating our ability to represent the constituents who elected us. Mayor Rossi has attempted to justify these actions by citing Robert's Rules of Order as procedural grounds, despite council repeatedly clarifying that our procedures do not follow Robert's rules, at least not completely. Furthermore, Mayor Rossi himself has not consistently followed Robert's rules, demonstrating a selective application of procedural standards. Robert's Rules of Order has wisely evolved safeguards against the tyranny of a small majority silencing the minority. It is imperative that we learn from this model, which has been adopted by numerous deliberative bodies worldwide. According to Robert's rules, a motion to table a discussion, limit debate, or close debate requires at least a 2/3 vote, which in our case would necessitate the support of 4 out of 5 trustees. This 2/3 rule, and I'm referencing, I have a reference right here. I bought Robert's Rules of Order. It's a 700-page book with about 500 rules. It's incredibly complicated and dense. And I don't know how people follow it to the T, how anyone does. They actually have professionals parliamentarians who some places hire to do this. This 2/3 rule is crucial in preserving the democratic process. Robert's Rules is explicit about this, stating that a motion to limit debate, quote, requires a 2/3 vote because limiting debate takes away the basic rights of all members to full discussion and may restrict a minority's right to present its case, unquote. A simple majority cannot consistently silence a minority if we are to maintain a representative and democratic institution. I'll skip something. Lastly, I want to comment on the existence of 2 sets of rules for members of the audience. One apparently for Frank's supporters or the mayor's supporters, another for everyone else. The incident at the last meeting involving Mayor Rossi's sister, Gina Morosi, telling this trustee to, quote, shut up, is particularly troubling, and Mayor Rossi's failure to address this behavior reflects poorly on his leadership. By shutting down debate and allowing intimidation tactics to go unchecked, Mayor Rossi is attempting to silence opposing voices on the board. This goes against the core principles of democratic governance, fairness, and inclusivity. It is incumbent upon all of us to uphold the integrity of this democratic institution and ensure that every voice is heard and respected.
No new business on the table. Public comment on any issue, 3 minutes. Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah.
No, go ahead. I didn't see anything.
Janice Nickel, 32 Kent Street, Ballston, New York. I was hoping Caitlin would have been here today, but I'm not sure exactly if this is a Sean or a Ben thing. I heard Creekside and I heard Kelly Park. A couple of things. Has anybody on this board been to the Creekside Park lately? Because it's a disaster. It's embarrassing. It's unsafe for the children. I have several pictures here that I can pass around. The entrance to one of the slides is all boarded up. There's missing pieces to the slides.
Yeah, that's actually being fixed. They kicked out or broke the glass windows or the plexi windows, so those
Yep.
are actually being purchased and fixed. Just looking on that one.
Okay, there are several, is that why the top part is boarded up?
I'm thinking so because it'll be dangerous if it's not fully taken out.
Okay, several of the fence posts are missing. I don't know who fixed this seating thing. It's ridiculous looking.
You're talking about the wooden structure, right?
Yeah, not the new structure. I'm talking about
That's what she's
Creekside.
talking about.
Yeah,
The wooden.
yeah,
Creekside.
they're kicked out some stuff over there, I believe so.
The thing where they hang, the jungle gym thing, the wood is literally rotting out. My husband even noticed it the other day when we had our grandchildren there and said, that's just not safe. I don't know what's been done there since it was built in 2008, but it's embarrassing. Somebody needs to look at that. I don't know where all this big hubbub about Wiswall Park. That's a visual. Let's worry about our kids' safety. I'd be a little more concerned about that. And that's not to even mention all the painting that needed to be done. The flower boxes out by the front are all falling apart. There's no melt mulch in there. It's just, I'd really suggest that all of you take a trip down there, get on the playground, look around and see what bad shape it really is in. When you were talking about the speeding, I would suggest that maybe you put one of those little speed signs at the bottom of Ralph Street Hill. I travel Hyde Boulevard several times a day. I'm not saying that people don't speed there, but I've only ever seen anybody crossing Hyde Boulevard during the village-wide garage sale. Kids are traveling down across Ralph Street to the pool, to the park, all the time, especially in the summer, and they come flying down that hill. So I would request that maybe that you can look into that. I can pass these pictures around. You can see what a disaster that is. I'm hoping that the village can figure out some way to start at least fixing that, if it's not a total fix all at once, but I'm sure that there are plenty of people in this village that are willing to grab a paintbrush and go over and help paint and fix the things up that we can fix up. And then if DPW can't do it, maybe we need to hire somebody to make sure that this playground is safe for our children. Thank you.
So you've taking diligent notes there as part of the Park and Tree Board, and so, yep, there you go. You went direct to the, it's one of the sources that'll help make sure that we move that forward. Thank you to you and your board there, Eve. Right, go ahead. Everybody on Zoom that would like to speak, this would be a good time to put your hand up, again, as I always tell you. So if you do want to speak for your 3 minutes on any issue, you have the ability to by raising your hand.
Ray Otten, 16 Middlebrook Avenue. I just want to reinforce what Anna's been talking about. The wooden playground is getting to the point where the swing set was a few years ago when I was still working at the emergency squad, and we overtook the building of the top playground. It's in poor shape. Like she said, you know, I wouldn't let my grandkids down there. It really is in desperate need. So, you know, Rotary Lions, we got together last year, painted the ballards. This year, you know, when we do our annual cleanup, it's also going to be addressed, but we can't every year depend on the civic groups
Yep.
to be down there doing the painting. A few years ago, we bought paint and we went down there, painted the tower, did painting throughout that park. And she's right, there's no mulch. There's a whole area there that's for either mulch or planting or a sandbox or something. I'm not sure what it is, but it's not usable. So we need to look at that. It's an important park. It's the only playground in this village. As she said, Wiswall is a visual. That is an activity park. And when we get people down there now with the basketball courts and the pickleball courts, there's gonna be a lot more people that want to come down there with their kids. All right, kids, go play. Want them to be safe. And then look at the Mayor Romano Trail also. Make sure there's guidance as to where to go, where to come in, where to go out. There's no signage, and it still needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Ray, before you go, we do need to approve, this is an oversight, but we want to get it done. The Rotary cleanup coming up on Saturday, is it?
Saturday.
So what's the time and locations that we would need to?
Time is going to be 9 through about noon. We usually are done by then. We're going to be doing the Tedesco Trail. We're going to be working in Kelly Park, hopefully doing the Romano Trail down there at the same time. We may do some light work in Wiswall. And last week, the work was done by the Lions down in the Old Iron Springs, so we don't have to worry about that.
Is insurance made available or not?
We usually take care of that.
Can I get a motion, just to break chain here for a second, can I get a motion approving the Rotary Cleanup Day on Saturday, April 27th, 2024, from 9 a.m. till approximately noon time for the Tedesco Trail, Kelly Park, Wiswall Park, and Romano Trail, insurance to be provided and permit application to be provided.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Baskin, trustee Fondanza.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry, you make the motion. I didn't realize you, I thought.
We'll reverse it to trustee Fondanza and then to trustee Baskin on the second, if that's the way we want to do that.
That's fine.
Discussion, anybody in the audience want to discuss for 90 seconds, separate on this issue? Seeing nobody, all in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Ray. Sorry about that oversight. No problem. Anybody else? Seeing no hands and seeing no hands, I think we are done with that. With respect to any other business, including but not limited to board response to public comment, anything?
I'd support the purchase of additional Your Speed Is signs as a great tool. I know it works on me personally, but also I think, Sean, you were saying that is a best practice as a way.
Studies have shown that that's probably the most effective way to get people to slow down, other than putting in speed humps or dips, which obviously nobody likes, particularly folks who plow. And they seem to be the most effective at checking people's speed.
But I was just wondering, I mean, do we have DPW? Is it in their wheelhouse to do the park repair? Have they done that in the past?
Well, it depends on what level. I mean, day-to-day stuff, obviously, yes, complete overhaul or, renovation of something like that. We probably need to get actual fix in there, and somebody to do it.
Contract.
Yeah, so depends on what level. We'll have to assess it and see where it goes.
It's about what, 18?
16 years.
16 years, yeah, so pressure treated wood, that's about the lifespan. So, so yeah, there's gonna be a lot of stuff. The good part about that is all the verticals in the ground are made out of the plastic, so they'll never have to be replaced. But to try to fit within a budget, all the above ground stuff was made out of pressure treated.
Karen, you're gonna hate me for doing this, but we need to go into executive session. I just saw you walk in and we have forced you right back out.
I thought you were calling me out on my
No, no. I saw you walking out, I'm like, oh gosh, you hate me when I say everybody's got to leave because I'm gonna ask for executive session on contract discussions related to property. Trustee Fandesa, trustee Price Bush, discussion.
You don't expect any actions or?
There should be some action, but we'll just determine exactly what inside executive session come out. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. We will allow folks back in when we are concluded, and we will leave this running but not visible or audible. And we're back.
No action taken.
No, yeah, correct. No action was taken. I was going to say that. No action was taken in executive session. However, we do have to take action at this point in time. First, can I get a motion to approve a resolution for negative declaration related to the, okay, why don't you go right ahead then and do it?
No.
I was right, at least in the order of events.
No. We're close. We're very close.
I'm leaving.
Seeker has to be done. This was tabled a couple meetings ago on the Woods Hollow. You all have a copy of the part 2 of the full environmental assessment form, and I have taken the opportunity to fill it out. Do you have any questions, or do you want to go through each of the questions on the 10 pages? No questions, and you don't. Are you comfortable with the answers that have been put in on part 2?
Yes.
You all have a copy of part 3 as well. And part 3 indicates specifically the actual determination, and it states, all questions in part 2 were answered in the negative because there will be no disturbance to the nature preserve as a result of this alienation. The nature preserve will remain in the same state it is currently in, and as such, there will be no environmental impact. Do you agree with that statement?
I agree.
Yes,
Yeah.
consensus. Then I would pass it over to the mayor and say there is a resolution that is before you also called a seeker negative declaration for the transfer of Woods Hollow. It says nature preserve, but we can take that out. So do you want me to read?
No.
The resolution? Okay, so I just want to say, then you can move forward.
Can I get a motion to approve the resolution for a negative declaration with respect to the Woods Hollow sale by the Village of Ballston Spa to the town of Milton? Trustee Fandesa. I will give to trustee Price Bush just by a hair there, and discussion. Technically, it is a new motion, 90 seconds opportunity for anybody that would like to speak. Raise your hand on Zoom if you would like to, or in the house. Seeing none, we will go to a normal discussion. Any discussion? All in favor on a roll call, please.
Trustee Baskin?
Yes.
Trustee Fandesa?
Yes.
Trustee Price Bush?
Yes.
Trustee Raymond?
Yes.
Hearty yes.
Mayor Rossi?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Okay.
So what will happen now is we will have to publish that in the environmental law. And we will advise Albany about this, and what will happen is they will set a bill number. And once there's a bill number at the next meeting, there will be a resolution requesting home rule on that specific bill. And then it's all in Albany and out of your hands.
So we've done seeker. How about the contract itself, Carla?
You all have a copy of the contract. You all have looked at it. We've had some discussion about it. Is there any further discussion that you would like at this time?
No, but I would like to ask for a motion to approve the contract between the Village of Ballston Spa and the Town of Milton for the sale to the Town of Milton of Woods Hollow, and to allow, or to permit the mayor to execute the agreement and other documents related to the agreement until closing. Trustee Fandesa,
Second.
trustee Raymond, discussion.
I'd like to, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to say that the contract, as you know, about a year ago, the Board of Trustees held a number of public meetings and to discuss the memorandum of intent to sell the property. You also did a whole lot of negotiating with the Town of Milton, a lot of back and forths. And the contract you have before you is everything that was in the memorandum of intent is in the contract before you. It's just in a contract form. There's no new
So-
terms.
Yeah,
With respect to the motion itself, also an opportunity for a 90-second public comment for anybody in the house or in the room. Anybody in either, I see a hand up.
I did want to, should I do it now or after?
Well, let's let the
Okay.
comment go first and then we'll go.
Okay.
We could, you got to tune that back on, Liz.
Liz Cormos, 89 High. Could you tell me what the contract says?
Yeah, I was thinking we should read at least the term, because it's been over a year probably since
Yeah,
we,
like
just to
what-
read the
What are you selling
basic.
it for? What are
Right,
the
the-
terms?
So is that your comment for now? Let me stop there and then
All
we'll,
right, yeah,
Yeah, no, because I don't know what's in that contract.
thank you very much.
yeah, I just,
Any other comments
Oh, sorry.
before we
Yeah, go
break into that? And we'll answer it, okay? Seeing none, okay. Discussion, who has it?
well, I'm sorry, just what I was echoing similar things earlier. Just if we could maybe just say what the purchase price is and the other terms and conditions. Just read those. We don't have to necessarily go through the whole.
Yeah, we'll let Carla take that.
I can do that. As I indicated earlier, the contract, the public is aware of the terms of the contract because, well, former trustee Cormos, who voted on the terms of the contract. But I will happily go through this. The property is obviously Woods Hollow Nature Preserve. The purchase price as the original memorandum of intent is $435,000. The other terms and conditions, and I will just read this down for you. Let's see. Well, just so you know, the seller is the village, the purchaser is the town. The seller agrees to not log the property prior to the sale and transfer to the purchaser and will properly terminate the logging contract with Saratoga Land Management Corporation, DBA Lumac Company at no further cost to the purchaser and with no liability in regards to be placed on purchaser. The seller will retain the right to an easement to any Village of Ballston Spa water infrastructure on the property. Both parties agree not to mine the property for any purpose nor extract or sell any surface or underground water or minerals from the property for any purpose. The parties agree that the deed shall contain mutually acceptable language protecting the property with a conservation easement or restrictive covenant for a nature preserve, with reasonable exceptions to ensure forest management, maintenance, passive recreation, and emergency response, allowing limited unenclosed structures and placement of benches, tables, and signs throughout the property. This easement shall run with the land. The purchaser agrees to provide snow removal and ice treatment, as well as brush and leaf removal for the neighborhood within the village known as Colonial Hills for 4 years, commencing in the fall of 2024 on the following roads: Salem Drive, Lexington Street, Revere Drive, Victory Circle, Franklin Street, Nathan Drive, Minuteman Lane, Adams Circle, and Concord Avenue. In the event that the purchaser performs or has performed on its behalf any logging on the property and receives income from the sale of said lumber in the next 5 years, 24 through 29, the purchaser agrees to split the net income equally with the seller. Purchase is contingent upon satisfying an environmental assessment of the property to be done at purchaser's expense. The purchase is contingent upon an acceptable and clear title report and title insurance at the purchaser's expense. Purchase is contingent upon the seller obtaining proper authorization and approval of the sale by the state legislature at seller's expense. The purchaser agrees to establish water supply districts and or a consolidated water district or districts within its boundaries within 4 to 6 months after execution of this contract. Those were all, and everything else is just normal stuff that you would put in a contract, a title survey, it's gonna be a warranty deed, things of that nature.
The one
Thank
thing, one question, thanks, Cody. One thing, question I had, number 14, there's an A, a B, and a C, and A and B are blank.
That's because I took them out because you're not paying rent, and you're not paying taxes,
Alright.
sewer, water, condominium,
So they're-
association fees.
Nothing's gonna be filled in later.
No,
All right,
that's just,
Left intentionally blank.
it's,
Okay.
yeah.
thank you.
Okay, do you want a roll call on this?
I would love a roll.
Could you do a roll call on this, please, Madam Clerk?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Trustee Baskin,
Yes.
trustee Von Denza,
Yes.
trustee Price Bush,
Yes.
trustee Raymond,
Yes.
Mayor Rossi.
Yes, 5-0, it is approved. Can I get a motion that the vouchers be audited, the meeting be adjourned at 8:37 PM?
I'll make the motion.
I'm gonna give it to trustee Baskin, I'll give it to trustee Price Post a second on that discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Have a great night and see you in 3 weeks, everybody.